This is Show Up as a Leader, a show from PeopleForward Network, helping you maximize your positive impact on the world by becoming your best, fully authentic self.
Hey everyone, it's Rosie. I am super excited to have KL Shaw, expert salary negotiator and career strategist, launch a new series on the podcast called The Career Bump. In this series, KL offers your ultimate guide to show up as a leader by stepping into your power, getting in the driver's seat, and making moves that matter in your career. She describes it as she is going to be your career roadie. Lots of great stuff in her series. Take a listen.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Career Bump Podcast. I'm your host, KL Shaw, where we talk about owning your path, asking for what you deserve, and navigating all the twists and turns and speed bumps along the way. So last episode, we had the great fortune of having my beautiful daughter, Haiden, interviewed to talk a little bit about Gen Z and what they're thinking about work and life and the future. And today we're flipping the script and Haiden is going to interview me. So welcome back to the Career Bump Podcast, Haiden. I'm really excited for you to take the mic and hammer me with questions, whatever you want to know, what's burning.
All right. Well, thank you for having me again. And my first question to you is something I like to ask a lot of people that are older than me. What is one thing that you wish you knew when you graduated college?
Well, I took a little bit of a different detour. I quit college when I was 7 classes shy of my special ed degree. And I realized that I was making more money working in retail and selling cars than I was going to be as a special ed teacher. So I quit school. And so I took a slightly different road. So it's difficult for me to answer that question as a standard question like you are graduating. But I don't know if there's anything that I wish I knew because I led my life for sure at that time, just really, really curious. So I tried to live in the moment, not worry too much about the future, not worry too much about the past. I probably would have spent a lot less time worrying about decisions that I made or things that I did. But when I graduated college, it was like the world was sort of my oyster. And I was moving to the US and I was living like my best life. So I think I was right where I was supposed to be.
So I was just going to ask you also, were you intentional about your career early on, or were you kind of just following opportunities based on what came up?
I was not intentional. I had zero clue what I wanted to do. Every job I ever took was because someone tapped me on the shoulder. I followed the opportunities and I led with curiosity. So I wasn't one of those people that said, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a lawyer, this is what I want to do. I really had no idea. And at 51, I launched a company. Never thought I would be an entrepreneur. I really had no idea. So I followed all the things that instinctively felt like, oh, this could be really interesting and I can learn and grow. My jam was always, I want to grow. And every single opportunity is going to help me build my toolkit. That actually helped me tremendously when it came to my growth into the C-suite, because I had had so many experiences at like a mid-level leader that it was very logical. Like, oh yeah, she has experience here, she has experience there. And that's why it made sense for them to promote me. So yeah, I followed my heart, I followed my gut and the opportunities.
Did you ever question anything that came along in your path as you were doing that?
All the time. I didn't question like, oh, that was a bad decision, I shouldn't have accepted that role. I questioned myself. I questioned, am I good enough to be in this role? Am I smart enough to be at this table? One big moment in my career where I didn't question my path necessarily, but I was so worried that I was going to fail. And that was when we moved to Germany. And I didn't speak the language. Every meeting that we were in would flip from English to German. And everyone said to me, don't worry about it. Everyone speaks English there. And while most Germans do, I found within BMW that they felt more confident to speak in German. So I really struggled. And after a couple of weeks being there, my boss spoke only German to me. And it was like, you knew I didn't speak German. So I really questioned myself. And I felt like this American cowboy, even though I'm Canadian, in this environment where I didn't fit into the rules and the structure and the box. I think that's probably the only moment in my career where I really questioned, oof, was this the right decision to move here?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of had the same type of experience when we moved to Germany, not knowing the language, having to readjust what school was like. The school system was different, everything was different. So I feel like we definitely both kind of had a semi-similar type of experience there. Obviously, yours was work, career centered, mine was education centered, but
I do think, though, if you look back on that experience, what would you say that experience taught you?
definitely taught me so much. It taught me how to adapt in any situation. I feel like it just opened my eyes up to being open to anything, fly anywhere, do anything, test out any job, things like that. Like that's what it's given me today.
Yeah. I think it taught both of us a lot of resilience. The fact is, in your case, you had gone to 6 different schools before you graduated high school. And while that wasn't really ideal for you, and it was probably really frustrating when you look back, it gave you this ability to walk in any room and not fit in, but be curious and ask questions and get to know people really quickly. And almost like from a cultural perspective, I feel like you have a different level of sensitivity as a result.
Yeah, definitely. Always willing to talk to people. I'm not selective about who I talk to. I'm just open to having conversation with anyone from that experience. And study abroad, like, opened my eyes, I think. Not more, but it opened my eyes, like, in a different way that I've never experienced before. Having to go somewhere where you literally have no one and you have to build a network for yourself. It's like going to kindergarten. It was like me and all my study abroad friends, and we kind of joke about how studying abroad was like the first day of kindergarten and you're trying to figure out who your best friend is going to be and like who am I going to play with on the playground. It was like that, but it was more like who am I going to get drinks with later. But what would you say was your relationship with money in the beginning of your career?
Well, I paid for my own college and I worked since I was 13 years old. So I had a relationship with money that I really liked it.
Wonder where I get that from.
I felt like harder I worked, the more money I made. And I think I spent every dime I had. I worked in luxury retail and sold cars and whatever. So fashion was really important to me. So I spent way too much money on silly things. But I feel like I had a pretty good relationship with money. I always was really thoughtful about what and how I invest it, even though in my early career I didn't have a lot. I didn't know necessarily, like, I never really asked the questions like, what am I worth? Am I allowed to negotiate? Should I negotiate? I didn't even know I could negotiate. So, from a money perspective, I was just grateful. And I guess maybe the gratitude also has helped me today because I'm a grateful person with, everything that's happened in my life. And I'm grateful that that foundation also helped me to understand that, okay, I'm allowed to have more. I'm allowed to ask. I'm allowed to talk about what I'm worth. So foundationally, I would say early on, my parents also pushing me to be independent was really helpful.
I can see that, at least coming from your realizing when you could negotiate to maybe before when you didn't. I'm assuming hopefully like I'll get to a point like that. Obviously, I know that you can negotiate, but getting to a point where I feel like I'm able to will hopefully be sooner than when you realized maybe, but I'm hoping I will realize that sooner rather than later. But
Given the fact that this is what your mom does for a living, I'm sure that's going to be a bit helpful for you. I literally did not know for like the first 10 years that I could negotiate. I was just like, woohoo, thanks. Like I literally had no idea. So, we didn't have social media. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have women supporting women back then. If you were a tough woman, you were a bitch, like it was very, very different than it is today.
And how would you define success then and now? Kind of how has it changed over the years for you?
I think success for me in my 30s and 40s was more around title and money and climbing the ladder. Obviously, being a great mom and raising a really thoughtful, wonderful human was always really important to me. But success today as a 53-year-old woman is much more about my family, the inner work that I've been doing, and just being whole and having the right people around me. I'm not basing my success on money and title anymore. Although I have financial goals and I want to earn more money, and I have retirement goals and vacation home goals and generational wealth that I'm creating and all of that. So there's still an element of that being important to me, but I'm not hanging it on that as I might have in the past. I think relationships, family, my partnership with Dad, my relationship with you, that is far more important to me than any title ever was.
And what would you say is maybe sometime that you failed and it ended up actually like being really good for your career?
Wow. I would say I don't love the word failure. I believe every opportunity is an opportunity to learn and grow. So even if you misstep, there was lots of missteps. My time in Germany, as I said, was my most challenging time. That truly propelled my career. The fact that I navigated through it. I felt like a failure very much while I was there because I couldn't understand what was happening around me. I felt really stupid. And that propelled me forward because I think it was like a little bit of not a rock bottom experience, but when you experience something so hard, on the other side of that is something beautiful. So I think that I would say propelled my career, but I loved every opportunity, even if it was seemingly a misstep, because every single time I built more muscle and I built, just greater strength.
Yeah, and I guess this is like bouncing off of that. How do you navigate those doubts and like comparing yourself to others?
In my early days, I doubted myself way more than I should have, and I worried way more than I should have. But that's part of the inner work. And I would say if I had chosen to do the inner work sooner, I would have navigated it so much better, so much easier, and I wouldn't have been comparing myself. I don't know that I compared myself that much to other people, but I definitely doubted myself. And I also learned something about myself over the years that I am a really I knew this, but I had an astrology reading done recently and it talked about how heart-centered I am. And it's literally everywhere in my chart, including my career section. And I remember over the years working in male-dominated industries that I didn't always feel like I could lead with heart, even though that was my instinct. That was what everything I did was about caring about people. And I felt very much like I can't lead with heart because I might not be respected. So I doubted myself way, way too much. The moment I leaned into truly being my authentic self is when the floodgates opened completely wide. So I think my recommendation, just generally speaking for you and for anyone listening, is the sooner you really truly step into who you are and build confidence around that, the sooner you can live your authentic self. And I think you can navigate doubt and comparison so much easier once you do that work.
Yeah, definitely. And last question would be, what's one lesson that you hope I take into my career? Obviously, you were just adding on to that, so I feel like that was a good leeway.
Well, hopefully you believe in yourself. I hope that you know how amazing you are. I hope that you remain humble, continue to develop yourself, continue to grow, care about people, bring people along the way, no matter what level you are. Everyone starts somewhere. I think because you've had so many incredible people so far in your career, and you'll have more helping guide you, that you carry that for the people underneath you. Yeah, just continue to be a really great human.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of my goals, is keep a great circle and always have more room to grow and more room to meet more people. So
I love that. Well, Hayden, again, thank you so much for being here. This was a really fun episode of you interviewing me, given that usually I'm the one doing all the talking. I really appreciate also just having you here and sharing your perspective, starting out as a new graduate. And I think Gen Z is, I believe, compared very much to Gen X from a generational perspective. And it's just been really, really amazing to be your mom and be your mentor and help guide you along the way. So thank you.
appreciate it.
So thanks again, Hayden. And thanks to everyone for listening. And as always, stay bold, stay curious, and keep driving your career forward. Till next time.
I'm Rosie Ward, and this is Show Up as a Leader. To learn more, head over to PeopleForwardNetwork.com and, of course, hit that follow button.